This is episode 283 of No Laugh Track Podcast. My name is Justin Severson. I'm here at Acme Comedy Company. Thank you, Circle of Heat, for letting us play your music there at the beginning. I have two guests this week, Tom Brady and Danny Amendola. Guys,
1-2 punch. Yeah, we've been doing it.
Tom versus time.
Those were the voices of Tim Harmston and Patrick Keane. I tried to book Tom Brady, but he's not a stand-up, and I only talk to stand-ups.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
He is good, and I think a Circle of Heat fan.
Yeah.
He's huge. They're big in Boston.
Huge fan of the Heat.
And, First Avenue, Prince, and Circle of Heat are kind of the two big acts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tom Brady is real ugly, though. Don't you think he's ugly?
Oh,
God.
It's hard to look at.
Yeah, I was trying to find her on Twitter today. I don't know what her handle is to invite them down to the shows. Jizzle. Yeah. And maybe it's is it 1L? It might be 1L.
Yeah. It's like a chisel.
That just hit me. Okay. Because I was like, there's no way she doesn't have a Twitter account. Oh, but I was like, maybe she's above it. And then I'm like, no, not for her line of work. She needs to have.
Yeah.
Is it 1L? Let me.
I hope to God a woman shows up here at your show named Giselle with 1L. It's like, okay.
Maybe.
She must be embarrassing for her to walk around with that ugly piece of garbage Tom Brady on her arm. Yeah. You know, I bet he has to.
It is 1L.
For the team photo, they made Tom Brady wear his helmet backwards. That's how ugly he is.
It's rough. It'll be good. You know, hopefully he gets a break on Sunday with the Super Bowl and things go his way a little bit. I just.
But he finally catch a break. That's what everyone's asking. Will Tom Brady's luck finally turn?
And if she and Tom come down this weekend, I mean, we'll put them on the guest spot. I'd hate to see them fork over.
Yeah,
have to fork over $20
if
each.
If there's room, they can come.
Let's push him towards the late show.
That makes
don't you think?
Yeah, push him towards the late show. 10:30. There's still a few tickets left.
Get that happy hour after the shows.
Yeah.
Better for him too.
Tom Brady late show Saturday got so wasted at Acme.
Kenny Stabler
they
style.
Didn't cover the spread. They only won by 3.
Well, I tell you, I can't believe. Is that spread still at 5.5 or 6.5?
I think it was 4 the last time.
4. Okay, because I just think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's I really do. I think when someone's that, because you don't know. I don't know if they know enough about Foles, and you don't know enough about this Eagles team. Whereas, the Patriots have been in the spotlight so long that you can kind of study them, and they've never, in all their Super Bowl victories here in the last 16 years, every single one of them, all 7, have been tight.
Yeah, and that you got to figure that the Eagles saw how the Falcons took their foot off the gas last year. I mean, everybody watched that game. Everybody knows that if you get a lead on Tom Brady, you don't give him the ball. You keep running and running and running, and the Eagles are built to do that.
They are built, and I think they'll get some success running it.
With they got the former Patriots running back.
That's right.
Garrett.
Yeah. They got a former Patriots running back, former Patriots D lineman. They got Long. And then you're right, though, with last year's Super Bowl and then both the Jaguar game finish and the Pittsburgh Steelers finish. Like, those are 3 prominent games to study for the Eagles where they're like, look at these guys, 10 points down on the road or whatever, and they still find ways to come back. So we've got to close them out. I mean, literally, you can't until 0's on the clock in the fourth quarter.
Let's, I want people to know, and I'm curious, favorite sports for you guys? Is it football?
Oh, what are you, nuts?
Without a doubt, right?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Football and
Patrick played football in college.
I was supposed to.
I may brag about my friend Patrick.
Football and ping pong, I guess, are the two.
Football and ping pong.
Those are the 2 big ones.
I did play football. I got a concussion when I was in 10th grade. I was one of these guys that I was a running back, but I ran really upright.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were Mike Allstott.
Like Dickerson, yeah.
Yeah, like Dickerson, yeah. I was the Dickerson of Wisconsin, and which sounds like a porno. Toronto, doesn't it? But
Dickerson of Wisconsin visits Minneapolis.
Well, it is a Scandinavian name, I guess, in a way. I don't know.
No, I was at Dickerson, and I would run into the line. We had 3 plays, like blast right, blast left, and then.
Yeah, it is a porn if we're using words like blast.
Yeah.
But
and I would take the handoff and I'd run right into the line straight up, because I was so scared of getting my head crunched in or whatever. So I'd run. I'd rather take a shot to the chest than my head because I knew I was so smart. Someday I'd be like a millionaire.
Right.
And you didn't need it.
I needed that head when I got older. But the chest, I didn't care. So I would go in and I took a shot. Some guy some like middle linebacker came through and hit me head on. And I remember literally seeing stars. Like that's not just a figure of speech. Like seeing stars, like little light.
Yes, you do.
Light bulbs going on and off in my brain. And they like carted me off the field. I didn't even know where I was for 3 hours.
Yeah.
No idea who I was or what happened. And then that was it.
Yeah.
Football. So
that's it. No, you made the wise choice. I did get one in practice. I think it was my sophomore or junior year. A guy who was very large. He was probably one of the strongest guys on our team. We went helmet to helmet, and I blacked out and then had to go to the hospital later. Jeez. And I threw up. And my dad thought I'd been. He's like, you got to slow down on weekends. You're partying too hard on weekends. And I'm like, no, Dad, this is from Houck. This is from Brian Houck hitting me. And
did he just want to deny that football could do that?
Maybe because he was a coach himself.
Oh, that's
so he's like, no, it wasn't from the hit. I got hit plenty of times.
Rub some dirt on it and get back in there.
Yeah,
so,
rub some dirt on it.
But yeah, you get those stars, you get the blackouts. They can be different, and definitely.
There was no concussion protocol back then.
No. Just get back in when you get on 2 feet.
Yeah, they had your mom wake you up at night, like, okay, wake him up every hour until morning, and then if he's fine, then he's okay to go back and play the next day.
Whoa.
Did you guys see Kostaki Economopoulos' tweet about Rob Gronkowski passing the protocol?
No.
He said, ask Rob to start at 69 and count down to 1. And if he says 69 and laughs, he doesn't have a concussion.
Yeah.
He's great. No, he's got his finger on the pulse, definitely, with the football stuff.
Oh, fucking great. What is well, Tim, you're a Minneapolis resident.
Yes.
So you've been excited about the Super Bowl coming here?
Let's see. I guess I have been. I mean, I was booked at Acme. Lewis booked me a long time ago. Maybe 6 months ago or so, and I thought the idea for me at least was that what a fun weekend to have the Packers play in the Super Bowl, and so I kind of hung my hat on that. And then when Aaron Rodgers went down, I said, okay, well, then the Vikings will play in the Super Bowl, and it'll be fun to watch that happen, and be a part of it and do comedy and make jokes about it. So, and then I don't know if they won. They didn't win, right?
The Vikings?
Yeah, they're not playing this weekend.
Keep going with your story.
No, so the Vikings lost, and then the Eagles thing happened, and then but it turned out great because I get to work my favorite club and my home club, and where I'd like to just have a great time on stage.
It's amazing.
It's almost like it's like a homecoming week, where you get to play your home club. It's like the best thing ever. And then on top of that, there's all this excitement in town, and people are, we're gonna come down and check out the NFL experience or whatever, and then we're gonna hit your show, go out for dinner, whatever. So it's really kind of turned into a fun thing. The only kind of bummer about the thing is I don't care about the game that much.
Right.
Like I don't care about the Eagles or the Patriots, and so, which is good because then I'm going to focus on writing jokes and trying out new stuff and doing that. But none of that was funny. That was just.
I set you up to not be funny. I'm doing my job terribly.
We did. My wife and I had been, because I told Lewis that we'd make some videos, and so we did a video about staying at our house during the Super Bowl.
I watched it,
and it was like you can stay in our shithole basement, and I rolled out like a yoga mat in our basement cellar with like a pillow and a big bale of pink insulation.
It's Corning?
Really, yeah. And so we had fun doing that, and that got like 10,000 hits like in the first, I don't know, few hours or so.
Wow.
So that kind of struck a nerve. And then we're doing the follow-up video that'll be released tonight.
That's what you need to work on.
About, when we have the Eagles fan, an Eagles fan replies to our video and comes and stays.
Oh.
He pukes all over the front of the
geez, I'm sure.
Geez, a little tease.
I'm sure.
A little tease.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to this.
Fun. And then we're also working with Mary Mack, who's my wife and who's the best. And so she's kind enough to come and host and have fun on stage. So it's so fun when you get to be with your favorite people, and Patrick and I have been friends for a long time. So
yeah.
It was a great, as you know, Tim, my wife and I are big fans of yours. So when it was announced that you were going to be here, my wife was like, "We're going to see Tim." Like, of course. And then saw Patrick Keane was going to work. I'm like, it's been way too long. Yeah. And then Mary hosting.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't happen.
It's triple threat.
Yeah.
I like to call the show 2 concussions and a fantastic lady.
Yeah, it's a perfect name for it. I don't, the Vikings didn't choke in the NFC title game, I don't think. They were exhausted. I mean, it wasn't like they were winning and gave up a big lead or lost a last-second field goal, missed it. They just, I don't know.
What, Patrick, as someone who has, you're not a Vikings fan.
I was pulling for them. I really wanted it to happen for them this year.
Were you watching the game against the Saints?
Yeah, I was. I was watching that, and that was incredible. I grabbed the guys I was with as they made that. You're just like, what? Like, it doesn't matter how long you watch the game, and you're familiar with it. A play like that happens, and you're just like, what? Like, my mind's blown. And,
were you watching it back
I was
in
watching
California?
it live. Yeah, back in California, 86 degrees, and and I couldn't believe it. That guy was just kind of trying to stay out of the way. Anyway, obviously we all saw it, but it was because Minnesota's been on the other end of that for so many years in football, and it's funny. I love the Vikings. But I hate the Twins because I was a Tigers fan, and the Twins kind of knocked them off a few times, and won 2 titles versus the Tigers, who'd won 1 title with what I thought was a superior team in the 80s.
Right.
But I always pulled for the Vikings. I think because being from Michigan, I couldn't watch the Packers win. I to this day, if they went 0-16, I'd still have the shakes watching the Packers.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah. So I kind of was always a Vikings, but not a Twins fan. But I like the Brewers, but not the Packers. I love the Brewers.
On a side note, Jack Morris.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, now he went and won a World Series, had this amazing career.
Awesome.
With the
Detroit,
Tigers,
then the Twins.
and then won a World Series with the Twins, then the Blue Jays.
So I was always kind of pulling for him, too.
You were with the Twins.
Yeah.
He just got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Finally.
Has anyone won 3 World Series with 3 different teams or 4 different?
That's a great question.
I don't.
Probably.
Now, I'm sure because of how much free agency there is. But Kurt Gibson won one with Detroit, and then didn't Kurt Gibson?
He got the home run, in the 9th against the A's in Game 1 of the '88 series. Yeah, Kurt Gibson came to.
But did Gibby play with Detroit?
Yeah. He was a Tiger. He's a Michigan State Spartan, then a Tiger, and then a Dodger. And that's why when we moved out to L.A., I was like a kid, and I was like, oh, my God, Kurt Gibson's moving with us. And
moving with us.
Yeah, and so I became a Dodger fan, and that was fun. And still am a Dodger fan and a Tigers fan. And then the Tigers just got your Twins, I think the old Twins manager.
Gardy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You'll like him.
A beer salesman, or what is it?
Yeah, beer and Domino's, I think, are the 2 big ones there. What's the name of McSorley's, that bar downtown Detroit? Anyway, so yeah, I love it. I love the Super Bowl. It's for me. I could probably name every Super Bowl winner, I think, from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty.
We should have brought that along.
Pretty weird.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Like, what's your take on watching the Super Bowl with people that don't know or like football?
That is a great question.
Justin, you go first. What is your opinion on, what's your experience when you have a party and people come over and they're like, oh my God, what is the first down again? Or they ask these questions. Does it upset you to watch a game, or do you not care?
Well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
My wife is not a football fan.
Okay. And
it drives me nuts because she caught the Vikings fever the last month or so. And she always says, well, no one's ever explained to me the rules. And I'm like, no, this isn't true, because I try all the time and it's just one ear, in one ear, out the other. Yeah. You don't care enough to I could teach you, and you don't care enough to remember.
Right.
So it's just, you are who you are. I definitely would rather watch with people that are into it, especially because the people that aren't into it are going to distract me with the things that I want to see, right? And it's not just the latest Bud Light commercial or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I think as long as the people that care about the game outnumber those who don't at whatever gathering you're at, that's huge. Yeah, because I told you about that a few years ago at that Super Bowl in Brooklyn. It was the Super Bowl was in New York, and I was performing on a cruise ship that was parked in the city, and we went into town there to watch the game at somebody's place in Brooklyn. I didn't really know many people, but there was a lady there that was like, what is this? What are we all gathered for? And everyone's like, go screw yourself. All right, like for 2.5 hours or 3 or 4 or whatever, just shut your mouth. Like, I know it's probably all about you everywhere you go, but just can you bitch about this to your friends, not to the people that actually? Because I would never do that if we were watching a Sex and the City marathon or just
Well, it's funny because Patrick's staying with us, and I said for the game on Sunday, it's probably going to be just me and my wife in front of a TV eating a lot of food, because and no disrespect if anyone's listening, but last year I had a party, or was it 2 years ago? I don't know, but it was 2 years ago I had a Super Bowl party, and I invited a ton of people in town to come over, and I was the only one that cared about the game.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
And you're like trying to make food for people, and you're trying to like put beer in the cooler, you're trying to do all this, and you're missing the game that you've got thousands of dollars bet on. but you know what I'm saying? Where you're like, can I just sit and watch the game?
Yeah.
And just put my feet up, and and then in some ways it's like a mourning period of that whole Super Bowl is like a cathartic experience.
It's very cathartic. It's the day the gods hand out glory.
It's the day
from the feast of Super Bowl.
But it's also like the day that the music stops because football season to me is like the happiest time of the year, and then it's the last second that ticks off that clock. You're like, well, it's 6 months until we get to do this again. And,
Absolutely. I can't stomach regular season basketball. Is so boring to me. Regular season NBA is beyond boring. College a little bit. Duke, North Carolina's playing, or like some rivalries. March Madness is fantastic. Yeah. NBA playoffs are great, but regular season, I can watch a little regular season baseball.
Sure.
But regular season basketball, I'm like, why? Yeah. This is brutal. Can we cut that by about 10 to 15 games because the playoffs are so long?
I recommend hockey to you. I know a lot of the Southern California folks don't indulge in hockey.
It's growing now. I think a little more kids, but it definitely it's not in our blood. Forget about it.
And I was going to ask you too, Justin. Like, you're a big Vikings fan and a Twins fan, but when football is done, the Vikings are done. Do you immediately shift into hockey mode where you're like, okay, now I'm watching more Wild games. I'm going to more games, or I'm more invested. I'm checking the scores more.
Talking hockey, I've been there. I'm a pretty big Wild fan, so I've already been following all year. But I will say that the second it was obvious that the Vikings were losing to the Eagles, it was like, all right, now I need the Wild to make the playoffs. Yeah. Now it's time for the playoff push. They've been like in that last playoff spot most of the season. It's like, okay, now I'm all in. Now I'm 100% all in without the football distraction.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that we're sick. We're sick people. We have I don't know what it is about sports that makes you have to have. I don't know. It's not even that we're betting on it, or we're it's just something that has to happen for the world to be in order.
It really is.
This year is interesting though, because for me, Daytona 500 is 2 weeks from Sunday.
And you're into that?
I'm a NASCAR fan as of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That I never, 10 years ago, I never, ever would have thought I'd be excited about NASCAR. I'm excited about that coming back.
Yeah.
But also, we have Winter Olympics starting in another week or two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I really think our sports fix is going to be filled.
Do you like the Olympics?
I love the Olympics. Yes.
I can do World Cup. I can't necessarily do.
Really?
Yeah, I just think I don't know. It's so many different. I can do hockey exclusively in the Olympics or basketball exclusively in the Olympics. I don't know. I just don't.
Oh, I love the stories about these little sports and the
luge guy.
Yeah, and just the stories of the athletes, like what they have to do to get in, and the guys that have like. There was the guy from Minnesota that was he a bobsledder? Luge, I think. Yeah. And they would, like the last Winter Olympics, and they do stories about his full-time job at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Kurt Warner, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he still was holding down. Like, he was just, like, on break to do the Olympics and come back and goes to his Home Depot manager job. You know, and he's a world-class luge athlete.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I think that's great. My wife and I bought a color television just to watch the Olympics. Yeah.
Did you really for that sole purpose?
We did.
Winter?
We were living in L.A. a few years ago, and the Winter Olympics came on, and we went out and bought a TV just so we could watch the Olympics.
I like that you say color television to replace the black and white.
Yeah, it was a color narrow screen or flat screen.
Yeah, flat screen.
And just so we could watch it at night and cuddle up in bed and sit there. Thank you. Yeah. And watch these. And I don't know, there's something just really cool. And all these stories about the Olympics are corrupt. And the Olympic
completely
is corrupt.
Yeah.
The city's just completely torched without But man, it's so fun to see stories and the way that they curate or narrate the stories.
Yeah.
You sucked in. And I got to tune in tomorrow and see how that slob from Home Depot slides down that ice hole.
Right.
Where is it this year, in Korea? Or
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, North Korea.
Yes, North Korea.
Perfect timing. Perfect planning.
Thank you, President. He got this done.
That'll be good. Rodman will be president. Yeah. I was there once. Panmunjom. Yeah, I went up to the border, and it's pretty crazy. You get to stare into the North Korea, and they tell you. Yeah, I was teaching in South Korea off the island. Jeju is this island off the southern coast, and when I was visiting Seoul, I'm like, I'm going to go up to the border. It's like a military, entourage that kind of takes you up there, and you have a meal, and they take you right at the border, and it's North Korean soldiers staring at South Korean soldiers from just yards away, and they're just staring like they're it's like a stare contest or whatever. And our guys are in green, and theirs are in like tan or khaki, and just staring at each other. There's a little interaction with a couple soldiers, and you get to go into this meeting room and walk around this table that runs perpendicular to the border. So for a second you're in North Korea, and then you have to keep walking so that you get back into South Korea. And it's fascinating. And they're like, they tell you three things. They say no sudden movements. No
sneezing.
There will be guns on you from North Korea. They will be pointing guns at you.
Wow.
Nothing's going to happen unless. So no sudden movements, no pointing, and no staring.
Yeah.
And they said, and that's it. And it's like, that's so nuts to hear that. And there's a boom speaker going into South Korea, just like, Yankee, go home. Yankee, go home. Like, join us in paradise. And it's this fake town, fake like city. You could tell it's fake. Like,
what?
Looks like a set of Warner Brothers up in the distance. And they're like, please come join us. Look at paradise. And you're just like, oh my God, is this for
Yeah.
What if you did want to join Paradise?
I don't think South Koreans would shoot at you. I think the North Koreans would let you in, but they will shoot at their people trying to get into the South. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have defectors. Nobody's defecting to the North. Like, they're coming down here risking life and limb, and it's crazy, It's ultimately, I think most Koreans know that there's only one Korea, so they don't see it as South and North. But
so they don't hate each other.
I don't think so. I don't hate each other. Like, they're like, those are our brothers and sisters, captured over there from 1952 or whatever, 51, and it's crazy.
How did you end up there?
That's a good question. I was teaching English. I had studied in Japan for a couple of years in college and loved it. I just loved it, Asia in general. And I was trying to go back to Japan, and then this opportunity opened up in Korea instead. And I was like, I'll try Korea. So in my 20s, 3 of my years in my 20s were spent in Japan and Korea. So it was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Were you doing comedy then?
No.
Pre-comedy.
It was right before comedy, and then I got into comedy in 2000.
There's a great comedy room in
Is it really?
North Korea.
Is it really?
It's a triple.
It's a triple.
That's such an insight.
It's so.
I was gonna say I don't know.
That's Tribble with a
Over
capital
my
T. And then you get on an all-night train to Mongolia the next day. Yeah.
Drive 12 hours.
Jesus, those are better gigs than the Tribble gigs, I bet. North Korean.
Alaska, I think.
Jesus, yeah. Kamchatka Peninsula there.
Go up to Kamchatka. There's a Holiday Inn.
Oh, Christ.
Peninsula with a banquet room, and they fill it with 10 or 12 people.
Yeah, better gigs than the Tribble.
Hey, speaking of that, I've been watching Crashing on HBO.
Yeah, sure.
Have you guys watched any of that? Pete Holmes show?
I haven't seen it, but I love Aparna. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know her, but I don't know how to. Okay, I love her, and I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm amazed at how little television comedians watch sometimes.
Yeah, it's great. It's like finally a show about comedy that might really represent what it's actually like.
Really, that's good to hear.
I only watched part of one episode, and because I don't have HBO Go, or is that what it's on HBO?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but good for Pete.
Yeah, that is good.
Super nice guy, and so anytime you see, a guy like that get a show, but from what I understand, it's pretty accurate, like the representations of stand-up comedy. That's what I've heard from people.
Lots of former No Laugh Track guests on that show.
That's correct. See, that's what I like is when it's a lot of funny comics getting work.
Dan Natterman, he was on the show. Jamie Lee, she was on the show.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Joel Madison was a consulting producer. He was just on the show last summer, or just a few months ago with Josh Weinstein. It's awesome.
Yeah,
But I wanted to ask you guys on that show. One of the things that Pete goes and does is he does this. He hands out flyers to try to get stage time.
Yeah,
like they're like, if they bring back 5 flyers with your name on it, we'll give you stage time. Have you ever, either of you guys ever? I mean, I know in Minneapolis that doesn't happen, Tim, but have you guys ever experienced that anywhere?
Yeah, in LA when I was starting.
You did have to do that?
Yeah, you did that.
What was that like?
You didn't mind because you were so hungry. You're like, I just want the stage time. I don't care. And, you'd wait around 4 or 5 hours, 30, 40 comics and get your flyers out there. And you develop those weird skills, those street skills. And I didn't mind because I wanted it so bad. Now, looking back, if I knew what it took to get to where I am now, I never would have done it.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, it's brutal. The journey is like, oh my God, I didn't know I'd have to, this is so hard. I didn't know it'd be this hard. And then somehow you find your way out of it and you're like, Jesus, I wouldn't have done it if I knew what I would have had to go through. So it's kind of good to be blind early on.
Okay, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Would you actually get turned you failed, you didn't hand out enough, or just the act of going
later.
out?
You just later in the show, you're like, all right, I'll throw you on at the end then when no one's there. I had one girl, this cute girl, she's like, oh, cool. I love comedy, and she crinkled it up and threw it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know how to. I was like, oh, what? Like, did she memorize it? I didn't know she was being a bitch to me. Like, I just thought, oh, she must have just memorized it, and she'll look at it later, and then gets in her car and takes off. And then I'm like, and then my buddy's like, no, dude, she was throwing it away in your face. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been in New York, and it's more common in New York.
Yeah, more. Yeah, totally.
It is in LA, but I've walked down Broadway or whatever and walked in front of a comedy club and had people put those things in my face and stuff.
Now, what they show on that TV show, it'll sometimes be a crowd of by the time these guys like Aparna and Pete when they finally get their stage time, there's 6 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
People.
Yeah, you do that all night and then that's your reward. Yeah.
Now, I guess my question is it worth doing comedy in front of 4 people?
Yeah, when you're starting out like that, I think even nowadays, if you're like, I got to hear me do this joke out loud.
Yeah.
And
what's the difference between doing it in front of 0 people and 4 people?
I think there's because you never know who's in the audience. LA, New York, you never know who's in the audience. It could be some, random producer or some casting agent that's like just got morbid curiosity. And they're like, hey man, I just saw you do that. Like, come in sometime, whatever. But and you want the stories too, kind of. You're like, I'll perform for 4. Screw it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a need to say jokes out loud, and I think even to this day, there's a few shows where you're like, well, I wrote 4 new minutes of jokes, and I gotta say them out loud, so I'll go down to the pizza parlor comedy mic or whatever, and just say them out loud. Just say them out loud, and you can tell almost immediately. Even with a crappy tiny little audience that's not paying attention, you can kind of tell sometimes if you're onto something or not. It's just validation. Because if you say it in a mirror, how are you going to know? I mean, are you going to laugh at your own jokes? I would never do that.
Yeah.
No.
That would be funny though if you taped yourself laughing at your
hot crowd tonight. Hot crowd.
Have a little button that you hit.
Right.
Yourself laughing.
And then tape yourself masturbating to that tape. Like then.
And then tape yourself crying. Yeah.
Oh, please add that to the video series, Tim.
Okay. Yeah. Crying while masturbating while watching the Super Bowl while telling jokes.
Yeah. But do you remember, Tim, in the early years, I kind of didn't mind the hustle that much because you were just so happy, like, to be doing it, and you'd written all day, and you're just like, oh, isn't this great? You know, and then you kind of get into more survival mode later, where you're like, wow, each set I need to get something out of each set. Whereas when you're younger, you're just letting it.
Yeah. Well, also there's a social aspect of it. Of like, hey, I want to go party with these guys, and we're doing it in a bar, which is where I would be anyway. And now I get to do this fun thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the older you get, the more the more efficient your steps become in terms of like I'm gonna get in right before I go on, get off stage, go home, and. You know,
right. You got to economize later. Yeah,
you save your energy for the headline sets that you do or whatever.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Now on Tuesday when my wife and I were here to see the show, it was a little different than you normally. Mary was on stage with you quite a bit.
Yeah, for some of it.
Yeah. Is that? I've never seen you guys do that before.
Well,
was that just a Tuesday night special? Was that something you're trying now?
I mean, and I have to tip my cap to Acme because when I come down to headline, it's like if that's something I want to do, they're cool with it. Like if I want to bring my wife up or she wants to try a sketch or do an improv game or something, if she wants to goof around, then we're cool with it. And that's really kind of, it's cool that they trust us to do that, but yeah, we do perform a lot together, and it's not, I almost feel like it goes towards, it helps us make it fun, like if that's gonna make it more fun, then let's do it. That's not that I don't have fun by myself, but it's like, it's a very solitary existence when you are a comic, you're always traveling around by yourself. So we both happen to be home this week. So yeah, come down and we'll goof around and try some ideas and see what happens. And hopefully it works. And Tuesday was great. People laughed. And
it was really fun.
Yeah, and I think there's like, people get excited to see a married couple shit on each other.
100%, because it's not. I mean, I think back in the day it might have been more common, but your guys' playfulness, and you're both funny, and so it's not just a hammer like wife on her husband, do this, do that. It's that playfulness is so funny, you guys, and it's effortless. And it looks effortless.
And we got a really interesting moment Tuesday when someone in the audience said "dilly dilly."
Yeah,
and Mary did not know about the Bud Light commercial.
Good for her. More power to her.
Can you believe that?
I'm so happy to hear that she didn't know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. To imagine hearing "Dilly Dilly" for the first time on a stage in front of 200 people and being like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, what
I can't even, what did she say? It was from a song? I can't even remember what
it's.
Burl Ives.
Yeah.
That's right. His name.
She
I was like,
pulled
what is she?
Burl Ives.
Yeah, that's so.
And the audience is like, Burl the what? What the?
I mean, people know Burl Ives from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
I know who Burl Ives is.
He's barely.
Yeah, I know he's an old guy with a beard or whatever.
I'll tell you, in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, he's phenomenal. He plays Big Daddy.
Really? Oh.
He plays Paul Newman's father and Elizabeth Taylor's father-in-law. He's fantastic. As a kid, I knew him as those Christmas carols, and he's this joyful, sweet man, older. And then you see him in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, all business, and you're like, this guy scares me. Phenomenal performance.
Wow.
But yeah, she pulled that out of Dilly Dilly. That's amazing.
And I told her that Dilly Dilly, I think, is one of the best ad campaigns that I've seen in a long time. And I think Bud Light is truly, they don't sponsor this podcast, dude. I think it's one of the worst beers.
Oh, really?
Bud Light.
Bud Light and Miller Light. I'll do it because I can drink a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
Like
No.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like Coors Light better, or do you even dabble
like
in the
Coors
lights?
Light,
Do you?
But Coors Light, I've heard, I don't know. But I like Miller Lite. No,
Coors Light might even have less taste,
Yeah.
which is why so many people drink it.
Yeah.
Let's remember, guys, I'm a beer vendor at the stadiums, so I'm one-on-one with these people. And ever since those Dilly Dilly commercials came out, that's what amazes me so much that it is impressive that Mary hasn't caught on to that pop cultural phenomenon, because every freaking game since those commercials come out, Dilly Dilly from fans. Every game I work.
Guy in a hockey game is like,
Yes.
Dilly.
Leonard Skinner, Freebird. It's that. It's
It
that
is.
Freebird thing.
Now, how can you make money as a beer vendor off of Dilly Dilly? Like, is there anything that you can do that will get them to give you more tips?
We do sell Bud Light. So
No, I mean, beyond that, is there? Could you do a?
I don't know.
I know. Get a little wand and hold the Bud Light up, and then just tap the wand on top of the beer and go dilly dilly. And then
Jesus Christ.
give it that little extra touch, and maybe you'll get a.
As sad as it is, I think
My God.
Turn it into your favor.
as base is the tiny things that make people laugh and they get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
I think people would get a kick out of that, and it would actually work.
Yep, great.
I would be embarrassed. People would love that, I
Get,
think.
one of your daughters she must have like a Harry Potter.
Oh, I'm sure there's something around. Yeah.
Get a wand, little star on the end.
Oh.
Patrick shaking his head like, please,
Yeah.
please don't.
Pretty soon the whole game is about you. Like no one's paying attention to the hockey. Like you see the beer guy with the dilly dilly.
Oh, jeez. You know, I am happy for the actors in it, because those actors probably have done Shakespeare. They've done classes. They've done horrible auditions. And then the one thing that launches, there's 3 or 4 of them. The one thing that launches them is this, and I just hope they're laughing all the way to the bank. Now, the people that wrote the commercial, I hope, fall on hard times and have to kill themselves at some point.
Oh, I agree.
I
agree.
For that.
Seen a lot of comedy clubs post, hey, please don't shout dilly dilly dirty.
Have you really?
See? It's that. Yeah, that's news to me, and that's bad.
Yeah, so I got to write like a dilly dilly response manual. Like,
Just say Bud Light sucks. That's all. Just shout it back at them.
yeah, it's true.
If you order a Miller Lite at the Improv in L.A., if you order a Henry Phillips, they'll give you a Miller Lite. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Henry drinks Miller Lite.
Yeah, he'll drink Bud Light too, I think.
Speaking of that, I saw you in his movie when I watched it.
You watched? Oh, nice. Yeah.
Punching Henry.
Punching the Henry? Oh, okay. Was it Punching Henry or?
Oh, I've seen both of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're in Punching Henry, right?
I'm in both of them. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
It's great. No, they're great, and he's fantastic, and he's working with Mike Judge now and a bunch of stuff, and that's good. I think he was here a few months ago. But
Yeah, I watched it watched it for the second time.
Oh,
actually,
no, that's
before you
great.
came, yeah.
Thanks, man. Oh,
I
thanks.
did some set design on the first one.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, did the design the radio station for him.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Patrick, I also watched. What is this thing that you just did? Your Date Is Here.
Oh, you saw that?
I
oh my
watched
God,
it.
You watched that? Did I show you that, Tim?
It's 6 minutes long. It's not long.
It's a 6 minute. It's a short film, and I'm in it. I play the monster, and I'll show it to you, or send it to you, or whatever. It's a short film by Todd Spence and Zach White. They're guys out of, I think it's Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri, film students and everything, and they live out in Hollywood. And we've been working together on some various projects, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to play a monster?" Where it's so nice to be able to just be ugly on camera. I mean, they make you uglier in this town in LA where you got to be so good looking all the time. So it's like, hey, the uglier the better. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'll play that. And it's fantastic. They do really good work. It helps when you have 2 people in sync, or 3, because in stand-up it's just you're on your own. Anyway, it worked out. It hit some festivals. It's called Your Date Is Here. Check it out. It's a board game, and kind of Ouija board-like. It's scary, crazy.
Wow.
I watched it on my phone, and then I took a screenshot of.
That's me.
You can see that, Tim. That's Patrick. At least I assumed that was you.
Yeah, that
'cause I
took
didn't
like
see
4
you
hours.
anyplace
That's Todd's
else.
girlfriend, Kate Klein, putting me together. Yeah, I love that coat. The coat they got me is great. But yeah, that collaboration is so important. And like with you and Mary on stage, like when she introduced you the other night and said, this guy's been on Letterman, and the other day he cleaned the kitchen or whatever.
Mopped the floor.
Mopped the floor.
Yeah.
Like, that was so funny, and it made it personal, and the crowd was already laughing, and they didn't even know you guys were together or whatever. It was so funny, dude.
Yeah, I did mop the floor. I just want to put.
Did you?
We have a thing where we sext. We send back sexting photos where if I'm cleaning, I'll take a photo of the wet floor and I'll just send it to her, and she's like, "Ooh." Later.
The floor is so wet.
Oh, it's great.
And that's what
That's
married
great.
people do. It's like, oh, look at that. I see you're dusting.
Yeah. Well, you took the car. You took the car to the car wash.
Hey,
That's funny, huh?
do you remember
New tires.
Do you remember which week did Aaron Rodgers get knocked out of the game against the Vikings?
That was in October.
Okay,
13th
good. Okay, October. Because I'm looking back at a text message that you sent me on November 27th, Tim.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Justin, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Hope you get everything you want except a Super Bowl.
From
This motherfucker wrote that on November 27th to me on my birthday from Tim Harmston.
From Tim Harmston.
Yes,
That's
right
so
there.
funny.
That's the
I love
proof.
it.
I totally forgot about it until you texted me this morning or this afternoon saying, "Hey, let's move the recording time up."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, "Happy birthday! Hope you mother."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Well,
that's
I meant it. I hope
you got what you wanted.
Well, the Packers are still in playoff contention at that point. So
How are they? Look, they got two Californians. Clay Matthews and Aaron are both Californians.
yeah,
How are they? How are the Packers looking? Are they making the right adjustments? And
to move into the future.
we
We
yeah.
have a new GM, so nobody knows much about how he's going to do it. He's first-time GM. He was a head scout for a long time, so who knows? I think Aaron Rodgers has 4 years to try to win another Super Bowl, and I think he'll do it.
Definitely doable. Yeah. And you know what? I like that coach. That coach is so underspoken. Like people are like, who coached the Packers? Oh yeah, Mike McCarthy. Like nobody knows. I just love that privately owned, or is it publicly owned? A small group, publicly owned. The opposite, but just the small community that does it.
If the Packers ever sell, the proceeds will go to the local American Legion.
Is that true?
Yes, and they're worth almost $1.6 billion. $1.8 billion.
Oh man, I hope they stay there forever. It's just.
Legion gets the money.
Do you really?
Yeah, that would be the best Legion. Imagine the fish fry.
Oh.
You had $1 billion.
Nightly
be
fish
sweet.
fries, not
What's
just
the
on
name?
Fridays.
What's the name of the bar in Appleton? The Christmas bar around the.
Cleo's.
Is that Cleo's? Okay, yeah, Cleo's. Yeah, that was. I wrote that to you in an email the other day. So.
A lot of bad things happened.
Oh, really? Okay. The
Things are very stiff.
furthest from the holiday cheer of Santa Claus.
Crawled home a few times. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for having us, Justin.
I need to ask you at least one more thing about some football here.
Yeah.
Brett Favre is going to be in town this weekend too.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Autographs. Yep.
Signing autographs.
Yeah. There's so much going on in town. There's no
Reason to come see us.
reason.
You're not doing shows in the afternoon.
Oh no, I'm just like I said on the radio yesterday. Like this pound per pound, this is the best value in the Twin Cities right now. This show that we're putting together at Acme, I truly believe that. You can go down and see Jennifer Lopez for $1,500 at the Myth Bar, or whatever bar it is, or whatever. Or you could spend a lot less and come see me.
Yeah.
And do some of the newer jokes that I've been doing, which I quite think are worth the $18 price of admission to come in. So there's a dinner and show package for $33. Great food.
You could spend $300 and get Brett Favre's autograph, or you could spend that $300 and come see this show.
Bring 10 of your
And you could come to every show the rest of the week, have dinner.
Yeah, let's not be
and
desperate
drinks.
about it. Though. I'm trying to upsell. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, it is a good. It's a great deal. It's a great club to begin with, whoever you're going to see. But this is especially great. I mean, you're seeing 3 headliners. You're seeing,
Patrick, Mary Mack. myself.
Yeah, and they'll be pop-in celebrity surprise guests that are just in town. So you don't know who's going to pop in, and
that's right.
Because it is. This club is like I don't know why other clubs in the country don't send people here to study the model. Here, when I'm at a mediocre club or a terrible club, I'm just like go to Minneapolis. Just take the money. I don't know, a couple $100, fly there, spend make time with Lewis, and just study like how they do it right and why comics love going there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just it's beyond me. Maybe I'm looking at it only from the perspective of a performer, but they do it right here.
I think that every town you go to in this country, people are like, "Hey, how do I get into Acme?"
Yeah,
Because they want to work here. So it's a real privilege to be here and perform, and quite frankly, the highlight is this podcast.
That's what most say.
Yeah.
Because I'll be on a show on HBO in short order.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's a launching pad.
You got a lot of big names coming from here, but also names that aren't so big, but are great acts that travel internationally. I mean, it's just unbelievable that the roster that you guys have had, and not only the Swartzens and Louis Andersons and Bamfords, but just lesser names that are just as good. Mitch Hedberg's from here.
That he recorded his podcast right here. I mean, his
podcast,
his album. I'm getting old.
And Chad's not even lets him live in the city. He lives. Chad Daniels lives. Don't know him? Okay, he's a really funny up and comer. Lives outside the city and still stays relevant and travels.
Well, look at this. See on the floor right there? There's all these crumbs. We're sitting on this stage at Acme right now, recording this. There's all these saltine cracker crumbs. That's from Shelby, Oregon.
Oh God, great set last night. You know, I just wish his older brother did comedy because I think he's a funny guy, and I'd like to see his twin brother do it. You know,
Chel's been on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
he should close with something like that. Like if you like me, you'd really love my older brother. He's never done stand up, but somehow he's better at it than I am.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got someplace to be.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna cut you loose. Your websites or social media and all that.
Yeah, at Citizen Keane on Twitter, and then Keane of Comedy on Instagram. Yeah, much love, guys. Good luck, everybody, this weekend.
Tim Harmston at Twitter. Twitter. That's not right, is it? At Tim Harmston on Twitter. And at Tim Harmston on Instagram. And Tim Harmston Comedy on Facebook, if you're so inclined.
And you'll have some your albums for sale if people want to pick one of those up at the show, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it makes a nice ice scraper.
Fair enough. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Justin.
Continued success.
Cheers.